Assalamualaikum guys, welcome back to my channel. I pray that you are all in the best of health and iman. So today I am sharing with you guys what I eat in a day. I am trying to be a little bit more conscious of what I put in my mouth and thinking more so towards nutrition rather than just filling up my stomach. And I am going to share with you guys a traditional Nigerian meal by the end of this video. So I hope you do enjoy it. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So this morning for breakfast, I am having this fruit and fiber cereal from Kellogg's, and it literally does have real fruit pieces inside of it. As you guys can see, it's got some raisins in there, it's got some coconut strips, it has like dried bananas and things like that. I really do like it, and I literally just have it with some milk and I am good to go. So that is simply my breakfast. Oh yeah, now I'm lonely in the corner, right? Thinking I'm ready now. So after breakfast, round about 10 o'clock or so, because I usually have snack at school with the children, I find that even at the weekend, around 10:30 to 11, I do feel like I want to have some kind of a snack, and I filmed this video on a Sunday. So I am going to have an apple with some natural peanut paste. OMG. If you've never tried apple with peanut paste before, trust me, you're missing out, unless you're allergic to peanut butter, in which case don't go anywhere near it. But if you're not allergic to peanut butter, you definitely want to try this. It is so good. Guys, I couldn't wait to eat this. Like, I didn't even get enough clips for you because as soon as I was done cutting this up, I just started eating it straight away and it was gone literally within seconds. So that is literally my mid-morning snack. I'm empty, wanna fill up my mind. Now I'm wishing, oh my Lord, I'm praying. How amazing is it gonna be like, oh, step in this. Alright, so it is lunchtime and today I'm going to prepare some quinoa. Guys, whatever I prepare is usually a lot more than what I can eat. So a lot of the food ends up in the freezer or in the fridge and I have it multiple days. So just take this as like a meal prep. All right, so I'm going to prepare some quinoa, and of course I have quinoa here. I'm going to use 2 cups of quinoa, and I'm going to be using this bean salad. It's basically just a bunch of beans and some corn in there as well. And then I'm going to be using some fresh tomatoes, scotch bonnet, as you guys know, I love my spices, and an onion. I toast my quinoa for a few minutes before I actually cook it, and I learned that doing this can help to remove the bitterness that quinoa can sometimes have if you cook it straight. To be honest, I've never cooked quinoa straight without doing this method, so I don't know if it really does have a bitter taste without doing this. Anyways, this is what I do. I toast it for a while with the oil, and then I add in my chicken stock. As you guys know, I love to use this chicken stock. I am using a few tablespoons, add in water, it's ready to go. So I pour that in with my quinoa, and then I cover up my quinoa and allow it to steam on medium to low heat. I've been thinking I wanna be there. I wish I can find myself in Medina. I've been dreaming wanna be there. It's my role model. Now we're going to prepare the bean side dish, and to that I'm sauteing my onions, and then I'm going to add my tomatoes and of course my scotch bonnet. Guys, I am only using the skin of my scotch bonnet and not the seeds, because the seeds is where all of the spice really and truly is. And yeah, I like spice, but I'm not quite ready for this part yet. So just adding the skin and slicing that as small as I can, and adding that to the pan and just allowing that to soften up nicely. Once all those vegetables have softened up quite nicely in the pan, I'm adding my bean and then allowing it to cook for a further about 5 minutes or so. All you really want is all the ingredients to like marinate nicely together and you are good to go. So as we're doing this, we're going to be checking on our quinoa, just making sure that it's not getting burnt, it has enough water, all of that good stuff. It's basically as easy to prepare as rice is, but obviously quinoa is a lot more healthier than rice, and so it makes me feel good because it has so many nutritious benefits, quinoa does, and it's also a lot lower in calories than rice is. So it's definitely becoming a favorite of mine despite how much I love my rice. So after about 5 to 7 minutes, our bean side dish is ready and we are ready to serve. And here is my lunch. Wanna increase my love that I got for the chosen one. All these other places are tempting, but I'm empty. Wanna fill up my mind. Now I'm wishing, oh my Lord, I'm praying. How amazing is it gonna be like? Oh, stepping inside in my street. Oh, I wish I could find myself in Medina. I've been thinking right, I wanna be there. Oh, I wish I could find myself in Medina. I've been dreaming right, I wanna be there. With love. All right, so the afternoon went by. I did a few errands and I didn't have any snack actually up until dinner time. So here is my African dish that I'm sharing with you guys. I am preparing egusi soup with a particular swallow. Now I'm saying a particular swallow because egusi soup can be served with lots of different types of swallows. My favorite being pounded yam, but I didn't have pounded yam today, so what I'm going to share with you will do, and you should be able to get these ingredients as well. So I'm going to prepare my egusi soup first, and so to do that I'm using some spinach. My egusi is right here. In English, I believe egusi is known as melon seeds, so it's basically blended melon seeds that you see in this pack right here. And of course my onions, and I've got to season my soup. I have, of course, my chicken stock, and also I have a crayfish stock over here made by the same brand. And I'm also going to be using some palm oil as well as vegetable oil because I've run out of my olive oil and I need to go get some. But yeah, I am going to use the least amount of palm oil as I possibly can because palm oil is definitely not the most healthiest of oils that you can use, but egusi soup needs oil to cook, especially using the fry methods, which I'm going to be using in this video. So to start off with, as per usual, we're going to saute some onions. And guys, I am going to remove as much of the oil as possible later on, and you will see that. So do not panic by the sheer amount of oil that you see here. So as the onion is sort of gently softening up, I'm going to prepare my egusi, and to do that I pour in my egusi, which is the blended version. I pour that into my blender, and then I'm going to add my tomatoes. The reason why I add tomatoes is because I get a chance to add in my tomatoes and my peppers and blend it all up, and it gives it a sort of reddish hint of color without me having to use too much of the palm oil. And again, I am using the fried method to prepare this egusi soup. There are quite a number of methods to prepare egusi soup, so everyone has their own way of doing it. So this is how I do it. I'm adding it to my oil and frying it, and as you guys can see, it turns out and it really looks like egg right here, doesn't it? So that's what it does. And as it cooks, the good thing about egusi is it will begin to repel the oil. So the more it cooks, the more it will separate itself from the oil. So as it's cooking and frying there, I'm adding the palm oil to it, probably the equivalent of 2 teaspoons of palm oil to that, just to get that hint of color. You guys can see instantly it changes the color. To that, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of my chicken stock and 1 teaspoon of my crayfish stock. And then I am rinsing my blender and pouring in the excess egusi from my blender. Affection, love you, beauty nation of black and white and yellow, brown and no discrimination. I love Islam too, I know I make the right selection. Now all that's left for me to do is just follow this sunnah. Oh, I wish. Now the next part is going to be me adding in some fish. So any vegans who are a bit squeamish about this part, just close your eyes, okay? So I add in some fish that I've prepared earlier on. You can use beef, you can use any type of meat that you like, or if you want to do egusi without any meat in it, it's up to you. It's your soup. Do it the way you like to. All right, so I tasted mine and I realized it didn't have quite enough salt to it, so I'm adding some fresh sea salt to my soup, and then I'm going to cover it up and allow it to cook for a further about 5 to 10 minutes. Now it's time for us to prepare our green. Egusi without any green is just, I don't know, in my opinion, it's not right. So here I am having some spinach. So I'm slicing up my spinach and then I'm adding it to my pot. So shame on me, I forgot to remove the excess oil before adding in my greens. And as soon as I put the first batch, I remembered. So I'm just straining out the excess oil from the soup. As you guys can see, it has separated itself quite nicely. And then add in the rest of my greens and allow that to wilt and blend in nicely with the rest of the soup. And after about 2 minutes, my egusi soup is ready. Check it out, guys. So the final part of this dish is the swallow, and so I'm making a potato and starch swallow. Of course, for this you're going to need mashed potato flour, which is basically just mashed potato in the flour form, and you're going to need some potato starch. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so half a cup for me because I'm the only one eating this dish, right? So half a cup of potato flour and half a cup of potato starch, and I mix it with some cold water. Don't do this with hot water because you're going to end up with lumps, okay? If you're going to do this particular swallow, it has to be mixed in with cold water. So once it's nicely all blended together, then you want to take it to your cooker and place it on medium to low heat. And what you're going to do is you're going to start stirring it and continue to stir it until it forms this nice dough. Keep mixing for about 2 minutes. And after about the 2 minutes mark, you will see that it will look something like this. And now is the time to add in a little bit of extra water. This time around, it can be hot water. I just add in warm water and I mix it a little bit more, cover it up and allow it to steam on low heat for a further about 2 minutes. And then I remove the lid from my pot and continue to mix it again very, very well. Guys, this does give you a good arm workout, not gonna lie. But by the time you're ready, you're going to have such a tasty swallow. So now that my swallow is ready, I'm using this technique, guys. Tell no lies, my auntie taught me how to do this. And ever since, this is the way that I get that nice round shape for my swallows. Okay, so I'm literally pulling the swallow from the side and pushing it into the middle. As you guys may be able to see, on the side, I have some cold water, and I place my hands in the cold water every now and again, so it makes it nice and slippery so that the swallow is not sticking to my hands. And I'm also adding a little bit to the bottom of the swallow so that the swallow is not sticking to the plate. So I keep pulling and pushing to the middle. That is the technique that I continue to use until I have this lovely shape right here. You're welcome. And yes, I am that traditional, okay? My West Africans will know like this is a traditional way, because most people nowadays don't use this technique anymore. They just slap it up in a like bowl or whatever, and they shake it around and it takes the shape of the bowl and they just twist it onto the plate. But I still enjoy doing this bit, okay? Let me have my moment. That is solitude. Oh yeah, wanna increase my love. That I come for the chosen one. All these other places are tempting, but I'm empty. Wanna fill up my mind. Now I'm pushing. Oh my Lord, I'm praying. How amazing is it gonna be like? Oh, stepping inside in my street. Oh, I wish I could find myself in Medina. I've been thinking right, I wanna be there. Oh, I wish I could find myself in Medina. I've been dreaming right, I wanna be there. With love and affection, no discrimination of black and white and yellow, brown and no discrimination.
I love Islam too, I know I make the right selection. Now all that's left for me to do is just follow this sunnah.
So it was about half an hour before I had to go to bed, and I was really craving something just pure and clean and green. So I made myself my quick green smoothie. In here I have kale, an apple and some ginger, and I just blended it up, poured it into this mug, and I had a quick drink before I went to bed. And so that, guys, is everything that I ate on this particular day. I'll see you all in my next video, inshallah. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.